Coffee. So good. Hey, it's Aubrey from Happily Aubrey, and I'm sitting here editing my What's for Dinner video and thought I'd hop on and see how you're doing and say hello. Hello! How are you doing? I hope you're doing good. I have 5 budget-friendly meals coming for you this week, and my husband and son loved all of them, which is, it's not hard to get my husband to love the things that I make because he usually does, but to have my son like them also was pretty amazing. And another thing, my son ate broccoli this week, which is, it's like amazing. He doesn't like vegetables, even though we keep giving them to him. He doesn't like them. I'm sure if you are a parent, you know exactly what I'm talking about. Or maybe you don't. Maybe your kids love vegetables and you are awesome because you got your kids to eat vegetables. I don't know how you did it. But anyway, I just wanted to hop on. I wanted to say hi, and I hope you stick around for these great recipes. So this is Sunday night. I had been cleaning and meal prepping all day, so I wanted to have something easy that we'd all like. I had made some homemade meatballs in a What's for Dinner a couple weeks ago, and I wanted to use them up. And I don't know about you, but I'll put leftovers in the freezer, and I won't ever use them. I need to stop that. So I was trying to use these up. So I took the meatballs out of the freezer, and then I heated them up in a pot on the stove, and when they were warm, I broke them up into smaller pieces and put them on some hoagie rolls. I like breaking the meatballs up into smaller pieces because I just find that it's easier to eat that way. Now that I've added the meatballs to the sub rolls, I'm going to sprinkle on some mozzarella cheese on top of the meatballs. And we love cheese, so I'm just going to add a lot of cheese. I don't know how much per sandwich. You add whatever you like. And then I'm going to place them in the oven for, I don't know, about 5 minutes on 350. And then I'm going to broil them for about 3 minutes, not too long. I keep checking it because I don't want the buns to burn. And this is how they looked when they came out of the oven. I just served them with some bacon bourbon salad and some sweet potato fries that I made in the air fryer. This was so good, and one sandwich was just way too much, but it was delicious. I like making a dessert on Sunday for my family to enjoy, so we have something good going into the work week. On this day, I made an Oreo poke cake, and I don't know what I did, but it didn't turn out as moist as I wanted it to, but it was so delicious. Comment down below and tell me if you'd like to see a video for that. So this is Monday, and I wanted to do something easy because Mondays always seem to be crazy. So I've seen the Olive Garden Italian chicken recipe going around. I'm not sure if that's exactly what it's called, but that's what I'm going to call it. So I took some chicken breasts out of the freezer and I put them in my crock pot. So here you see me adding 1 bottle of the Olive Garden Italian dressing. Now I'm loosely following a recipe, so my measurements aren't correct, or they're not. I'm just kind of eyeballing things. So anyway, I'm adding what's left of my grated Parmesan cheese on top of the chicken, and then I'm going to place a block of, and some shredded Parmesan cheese. I don't think I had enough of the grated. Anyway, so now I'm adding a block of cream cheese, and I'm just going to place that right on top of everything else and then put the lid on and cook. I'm going to cook it on low for about 8 to 10 hours, and then you'll see the magic. Here you see me checking the chicken and saying to myself, this looks delicious and done. So I took my meat chopper tool and I just started breaking up the cooked chicken. I had already been checking the chicken throughout the day, so I broke it up just a little bit, but right here is when I basically shred it up. I'm just mixing up the shredded chicken, and I decided to add some heavy cream to the chicken. I was trying to get more of a sauce going on, but I feel like I just thickened it up more than anything. I should have added some milk, I think, instead, but it's okay. It turned out good. What I forgot to get a clip of is me cooking up the bow tie pasta and draining it, then adding it to the chicken and mixing it up. We really liked this dish, but I thought it was a little salty, and I think I used too much chicken, and that's why it wasn't as saucy as I wanted it to be. And I feel like the chicken overpowered the pasta in the way that there was just way too much chicken compared to the pasta, but it was good. This is what my plate looked like when I had added the bow tie pasta to the chicken. I just steamed up some fresh broccoli and made some garlic bread with the leftover hoagie rolls that we had. This is Tuesday night, and my son saw me peeling potatoes, and he asked if he could help. So I wasn't going to tell him no. If he wants to come in the kitchen and help me, I am all for it. So he was really struggling here, and I don't know about you guys, but when you see your kids struggling, you just want to take over, but they're not going to learn that way. You have to let them struggle through it and then just show them the right way. So now that the potatoes are all peeled and rinsed, I'm going to cut them up in cubes. They don't need to be perfect because they're just going into some water to boil so that you can mash them up, and just make your mashed potatoes however you make your mashed potatoes. I'm browning up a pound of ground beef on the skillet. I'm adding garlic powder, onion powder, salt, and pepper to my meat, and I am just going to break that up with my meat chopper, and then when it's all cooked, I'm going to put it in a dish. I'm going to put it in a 9x13. Actually, I didn't use 9x13. This is a smaller one. What is it, 7x11? I don't know. So I add the beef to the pan, and then I pour what's left of my frozen corn into the same skillet I browned the meat. I don't rinse it out. It still has the flavor from the meat, and I think it tastes good. So here you just see me leveling out the meat and cooking up the corn. It cooks up pretty fast. You know, you don't even have to do it that way. You can just put the frozen corn on top of the ground beef when it's done cooking, and it will warm in the oven as it cooks. But I like to do that little step. I just think it tastes better. Now I've made my mashed potatoes the way that my family likes them, and I put it on the corn ground beef mixture, or the layers, and just spread it out. And then you see me adding a whole bunch of shredded cheddar cheese. Now you'll see in this clip that I moved some of the cheese over, and I did that because I forgot that my son does not like the melted cheese on his shepherd's pie. I don't know who he is. He is not his mother's child when it comes to shepherd's pie, because I love all the cheese. This is what my plate looked like. I just paired the shepherd's pie with some leftover broccoli from the night before, and you saw me making up some crescent rolls. It was so good. This week had been cold and rainy in Florida, and I was eating all of the warm, comforting foods. So I had a bag of Cajun 15-bean soup in the pantry, and I had some frozen ham in the freezer. And so I decided to make 15 bean soup. So I rinsed my beans, make sure there wasn't any rocks or anything in there. And then you'll see me adding 10 cups of water. And I do this because I'm going to boil the beans on the stove for about 70 minutes. And the reason I'm doing that is because I didn't soak the beans the night before. This is what my beans looked like when they were boiling on the stove. They got perfectly soaked, I guess you could say, where they were no longer hard anymore. And I was able to add them to the crock pot. I added my frozen ham bone to my crock pot and then covered it with one sauteed onion. This added great flavor to the soup, and I highly recommend it compared to just chopping up a raw onion. And then I just put the beans on top, and I cooked it on high for about 8 hours. And I did that because I wanted to make sure that the beans were cooked all the way through and they were perfectly mushy and delicious. And they were. Oh my God, this was my favorite meal of the week. I was so surprised how good it turned out. Oh, I forgot to tell you, I also added the Cajun seasoning packet to the beans. I didn't add anything else. I didn't want to make it too salty because sometimes I do that when I add salt to things, and I just added the seasoning packet and tasted it throughout the day, and it was so good. I also made up a box of Jiffy cornbread mix and just prepared it according to the directions on the back of the box. And when it came out of the oven, I just spread some butter on top, and it was delicious. This is how my bean soup turned out. I had taken the chunks of ham out of the crock pot and shredded them up so that it was ready to eat. Oh, I also took the bone out and made sure to grab any cartilage or pieces of bone that came off while it was cooking. So this is me putting my soup into my bowl. Oh my God, you really have to try this recipe. I hadn't had it in a long time, and I'm so glad that I made it. I just can't tell you how good it was. I really highly recommend it. And the directions are on the back of the bag. And this meal is so cheap. It literally probably costs, I don't even know how much, but the beans are really cheap, probably $1 if anything. And then I had a leftover ham bone, and then a box of Jiffy mix, which was 43 cents, I think. This was last night. It was Saturday. I decided to try and make an Instant Pot meal. I am not good at cooking in the Instant Pot. Nothing ever turns out right, but I am trying to use this tool to my advantage because I have it and I want to get better at it. So I put a pound of ground beef into my Instant Pot on the saute function. I don't know. I pressed the saute button. Then I minced up an onion pretty good and added that to the Instant Pot as well. I'm just seasoning it with some salt and pepper and a little bit of garlic powder. After the meat is done cooking, the directions say to turn the Instant Pot off while you're adding the other ingredients. Now I'm adding some crushed tomatoes. I got that at Aldi. They only had one size of crushed tomatoes, so I had to weigh out the correct amount of crushed tomatoes, and that's why it was in a bowl. Now I'm adding some Parmesan cheese, grated Parmesan cheese, and a teaspoon of Italian seasoning. And then I'm just going to mix it up. Next, I'm going to add some elbow noodles and some beef stock. I will leave the recipe in the description box below. When you're cooking in the Instant Pot, you need to make sure you have enough water, or you need to make sure you have enough liquid so your food can cook properly. And I was cooking dry noodles, so I needed to make sure, the directions said that you needed to make sure that the pasta was covered, and I didn't think it was. And it said to add extra water to the pot, just a quarter cup at a time until the noodles were covered, but I didn't. I added water the first time, and I was like, why don't I use this beef stock? I have it, and I don't want to waste it. So I used beef stock. I kept adding a little bit at a time till I felt it was properly covered. This is what it looked like when it had cooked for 7 minutes on the manual setting. I stirred it up. It was stuck to the bottom. That's why you see me scraping it a little bit. But I don't know. I checked the noodles, and like they were done, but they were still not done enough. So I decided after stirring it to put the lid back on and just put it on the manual setting for about 3 more minutes. So in total, I would have cooked this for 10 minutes for my Instant Pot. Now my Instant Pot isn't the real Instant Pot. This is the Aldi brand that I got for $15, and I don't know, but 10 minutes worked for me. I also made up some cheddar herb biscuits. I think these are like the Red Lobster kind, but this was the Aldi brand. You guys, I shop at Aldi all the time. I like their prices, and I like that it's a smaller store. Anyway, they have great stuff. So I made the cheddar biscuits and put the butter herb stuff on top of the biscuits when they came out, and they were pretty delicious. This is what my bowl looked like when it was done. I wasn't sure what it was going to taste like. Honestly, I added some shredded cheddar cheese to the top, and my husband tried it. He said it was really good and it tasted like his granny's. So anyway, that was the last meal of the week that I have for you guys. I hope you enjoyed this What's for Dinner. If you did, please give this video a like. Consider subscribing to my channel. Follow me on Instagram where I post other things before I post my videos. And I hope you guys have an amazing week.